You're watching 7 Action News.
They're not going to name names. And basically, that's what we wanted. We wanted to see who did what, when, where, and also whose idea was it to actually go around the commission.
I think Bob really does need to come clean and answer all the questions, but he doesn't seem to want to do that right now, and we're kind of stuck. We're kind of at a standstill.
You just heard 2 Wayne County commissioners talking about not having transparency in Wayne County. One of them is a commissioner who has a lot of questions, but so far they both say you are not willing to come to the table and answer their questions. You talk about transparency. You say that you want to start anew. They want to sit down with you. Why can't you answer their questions?
Well, you know, we always want to be transparent, and we want fairness in the way things are reported as well. And I know that, you know, 7, I know, has been looking at Wayne County probably for a long time. And what you want in transparency is that it's transparent on both sides, that when a story is actually reported, that it's balanced. I presume that that's the philosophy.
That's our goal, yes.
That's exactly right. And some of the stories, I have to admit, I'm concerned about. For example, when we started with this and the transparency, the biggest one, I guess, with the investigations you started with were the roads. And the issue about the roads, and I know it was part of your special and things like that. And I guess what I get concerned about is that a lot of documents that we give to 7 just doesn't make it on the air. For example, on the roads, the concern was, is there actually road money that's being misspent? I mean, that was the whole premise. And should people be on the budget that were in the roads budget? And we would send documentation. For example, this is from the Department of Treasury saying that Wayne County, on that issue, to your producer, Ross Jones, there's nothing wrong. And then Michigan Department of Transportation, same thing, said they've had correspondence with you know, the station and with your producer, and said, here's the email. There's nothing wrong that's going on in Wayne County. You interviewed a former director of DPS, and he said, geez, he was concerned about these people, you know. This was after he had quit. What's interesting about that is that they have to do an exit document after they leave, and they have to put down any of the issues or concerns that they have. This is his exit document, and he never mentions it in terms of that.
Mr. Ficano.
All of that is given, and when you give the report, and I just saw that you had Commissioner Varga on there.
Absolutely.
Okay, and she talked about it, and Commissioner Varga, and I'll give you the email, was very concerned because she felt that the producer was trying to intimidate her and trying to manipulate the story. I'll give you the email that she sent to the producer and that she actually talked about.
Well on this subject, what we'd like to do, Mr. Ficano, we'd like to give Mr. Ross Jones, our producer, a chance to defend himself on these right here. But unfortunately,
part of it. That is part of.
No, but I've got one of the conditions of this interview with you tonight is that it was with us and not with.
No, but
Mr.
it's about
Jones.
Channel 7, right?
No, it was with us. Our investigators were not allowed to be part of this interview.
But,
so now you're attacking our investigators.
No, I'm not attacking. I'm just giving you documents.
So can I get a promise from you that you'll sit down on an interview with Ross Jones?
I will produce those documents for Mr. Jones and for the investigators again.
From then we need to move on from that then.
For 1 second, and let's get back to the.
I just want transparency on both sides.
Absolutely.
So we've all been transparent about how this transpired here also.
Sure.
But before we get to this, I know you just named off and you handed us all of these documents that we don't have time to go through right now. We will hand those over to Ross Jones. But let's get back to...
You already have them, by the way.
Okay. Let's get back to the commission. You just mentioned Commissioner Varga saying that she felt intimidated. But what about you sitting down with your own commission and answering their questions about what they have concerns about? Aren't you working together?
Yes, we are.
You're a team?
Oh, yeah. We just worked together. I think you saw at the last commission meeting that Commissioner Parker said that now Gary Warrencheck, the chair, is going to work with me, and that we're going to have some reforms that we're going to introduce, and we're going to do it together.
Well, we're curious because we got subpoenaed for videotape of your last news conference a couple of days ago because the commission said you wouldn't tell them what you said.
Well, some of the commissioners were there, and it's on your website, isn't it?
I'm just telling that's what they were telling us, and that's why we were subpoenaed for that.
Now, we have another question for you, though, because it seems like things that we want answers to, we have to FOIA them. We have to get...
It's a freedom of information, yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely, and we have to do it over and over again. You've talked about it. Ms. Mullen talked about it on our air, saying that you get tons of them from us, but sometimes when we deal with other counties, for example, Oakland County or even Macomb County, we ask them the same questions that we ask Wayne County. They may hand things over in a day. They may hand it over via email, but it seems like when we're dealing with Wayne County, you know, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before we get answers. Is there a reason for that?
Let's look at it. Channel 7 has, I think, over the past 2.5 years, have submitted over 100 FOIAs. The next closest, I believe, is the Free Press, which is close to 25.
We're very curious.
You are.
And by the way, this is all information that's a public information. We have a right to it.
You have the right, but you still don't pick them all up. You still have 15 from 2 years ago that you FOIA'd. It's been sitting, for example. And some of these FOIAs take a very long time. You wanted all the bidding on all the contracts. I'm sorry, all the bidding on the jail. It's a 1,500-page document that has to be pulled. Some of your FOIAs are FOIAs on other channels, like Channel 4 and Channel 2. You want to, for example, we had FOIAs that anytime it mentions your producers or mentions Channel 7 or in any of the emails, like going back 2 years.
Right.
Those are the kind of FOIAs. And what that takes is, like, for example, when you FOIA all the emails for a year and a half, they're stored at a separate location. A technician has to
we understand that.
Has to pull.
But wait a minute. We want to be accountable, and we want to give you a couple of examples. For example, because you just mentioned a couple, we asked Wayne County for the names and salaries of all of your appointees, right?
Yes.
It took weeks to get the information and cost us $100. We accept that. We got the same information, though, from Oakland County via email, and it only took a day to get the same information. Today, we asked Macomb County for the information, and it took us an hour and a half to get the same answers. So for a lot of people, they want to know, why is it so much harder to get the information from your administration as opposed to other counties? I mean, is there a reason?
No, not at all. And we'll be glad to cooperate and work with you. How many FOIAs have you filed in Oakland County?
Again, since our producers weren't allowed to be here, they would be the ones to answer that question.
Okay, I think it's less than 10 a year.
I don't know. We'll get that answer.
There should be a time difference?
No, not at all. What I'm saying is the volume that we have is you know, very high, and it's intense. And there's no reason for it. You have a right to the documents. The public has a right to the documents. But, you know, some of the FOIAs, like what other channels, you know, are Channel 4 and the Free Press, you know, when do they appear in emails for the past 2 years and things like that. That's a lot of time that technicians have to go through and dig up and have to go through. You are absolutely entitled to it. You're absolutely, the public's entitled to it. And it has to be in a reasonable time, and that's what I commit to.
Mr. Ficano, one last question here. Obviously, there's an FBI investigation going on around Wayne County. If, looking down the road, you're indicted, will you step down?
That's not going to happen.
That you won't step down, or that you won't be indicted?
I won't be indicted. And that's an insulting question, too. But, you know, in a way, I can tell you that I feel clear. We ask for the investigation to come in. It's an open book. I was a sheriff for 20 years. Anybody who's done anything wrong, if they've done it illegal, then they should go to jail.
We want to be very clear that we are not here, of course, to insult you, but we have viewer questions here, and a lot of people are asking, will you step down? Even Keith O'Connor sent us an email question. He's the one who actually said, if you are indicted, will you step down? So we would never intentionally insult you, but people are curious, and a lot of people have asked that very question.
It comes back to the buck stops here question. A lot of heads are rolling, but so far, Robert Ficano's head is still standing up on the top of it.
And I can tell you that I have a clear conscience. I've done absolutely nothing wrong, and I invite any law enforcement agency that wants to come in and they can look at it.
Tell me this, at the top of this block in our news program tonight, you said that you are not a distraction, that other people are distractions, and that's why you got rid of them and you wanted to move forward. Why are you not a distraction?
Because I'm the one that's the elected official, and we are moving forward. We have the accomplishments that we've been able to do, $5.4 billion in economic activity, I think are something that is very commendable. I mean, the MEDC has looked at it, and we've done things. For example, we have set things up that have been unique that this area has never seen. For example, when the business corporation, the nonprofit that you've looked at, they went out and they set up a trade mission. Now, the nonprofits are set up because we don't want to use taxpayers' money to do trade missions. That's the whole premise by which it is set up. So they collect the money privately. They've also did studies about the labor rates, comparing it to down south by University of Michigan, and they've brought site selectors in. One of the problems that we saw is that site selectors, they'll say, all sorts of things about, you know, Michigan, and they're not familiar with it. At the same time, what we'll do is go ahead and bring them in, and they have a whole different opinion once they see it. And they meet with business leaders, they meet with labor leaders and things like that. We do all that by collecting private money in order to do it. We don't use taxpayers' money to do it.
We're going to hard wrap it. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.